The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, we're here again, man. It's been a couple days since I've been live. Just been running around, going gym to gym, really making the most out of all my time here in Las Vegas. So if I haven't gone live for a couple days, that's the reason. I've been trying to really make the most of my time here in Vegas, getting interviews and getting content for the channel that you guys would like. But, we had to break the drought at some point. If it wasn't going to be tonight, it was going to be tomorrow. Program reminder for you guys. Tomorrow, I will be live for a couple of fights tomorrow. We'll be live in the afternoon for the fights tomorrow. We'll be live first and foremost for the Kid Galahad versus Kiko Martinez fight. That'll be the afternoon. We'll be live for that whole fight card in England. And then we'll be live for both cards, Benavidez versus Kyron Davis, as well as Gabe Rosado versus Munguia. So you guys are going to definitely want to make sure you tune into that. But we got an action-packed show. There's a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of things to dissect. There's a lot of things that happened in boxing since the last time I went live that I want to touch on. So if you're watching live, make sure you smash that like button. If you're watching the playback, make sure you smash that like button. And yeah, just give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts because I want to hear them. But before we get to the nitty gritty of today's live, I want to get to the comments that took place already because there are some comments. Let me see. Shout out to my guy Slugfest. Slugfest says, and he's talking about David Benavidez. He says, I think his fast combos and pressure and power and body shots is enough to beat Canelo. A lot of people are thinking that, a lot of people have been pegging David Benavidez as the guy to beat Canelo. And they've been saying that, they can't really see anybody beating Canelo but David Benavidez, and a lot of people are drinking that Kool-Aid. And we'll definitely get to that as the show progresses. But man, I've never believed in David Benavidez, and he's not really doing himself much favors with me right now, if I'm being honest, with the whole he missed weight. Like, how could David Benavidez beat Canelo, right? He's supposed to beat Canelo, but he can't even beat the scales. And then I know people might say, oh, well, BT True School, it's a non-title fight, so he's allowed to come in 1 pound over the limit. That doesn't matter. If you're David Benavidez, right, and you have a history of missing weight, you have a history of being undisciplined, and you're trying to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez, who fights at 168, then I think it's in your best interest to try to come in to all your fights at 168. At some point in time, like, there's a lot of fans that don't trust that David Benavidez can even make the weight, so you should try to earn the fans' trust back. Or at least the trust back of your damn self, because truthfully speaking, man, like David Benavidez, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, don't crucify me for it, but it's only my opinion, David Benavidez is a weight bully. He is a weight bully because if you can't make the weight and you're trying to kill yourself to make the weight and you can't make it no more, you got to move your big ass up to the next weight class. Because if you're too fearful to move to the next weight class because you can't make the weight at your current weight class, it means that you don't believe that your skills can carry you up in the next weight class and that you're too over-reliant on your power. And that's what I think seems to be the case with David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Frank, what's good, Frank? He says Canelo never had to beat the scales. He just made up catch weights. This is true, but there's been times in Canelo's career where he's had to make weight and he's made it, So like, yeah, I criticize Canelo. He's done some bullshit with the weights, going all the way back to his first world title fight with Matthew Hatton, but he's at least shown a bit of professionalism. I mean, Benavidez is not in the privileged position like Canelo Alvarez to where he can do that. He is the B-side trying to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez. So with that being said, professionalism, and I'm not saying this is how it should be, I'm just telling you how it is. Professionalism should be a little bit more it's a bit more of importance for him. We know Canelo is who he is. He does what he does. He gets with a lot of bullshit. We know all this, man. So it's not a good look. It's not a good look. But listen, for those of you who know, those of you who don't know, first of all, it's the untouchable True School Sports Empire. It's your boy BT. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Take the time to subscribe. All that good stuff. Listen, we're gonna get right to it. So we're gonna go to screen share, and we're just gonna go. There's a lot of stories we gotta talk about. A lot of things in boxing that we gotta discuss. But for now, we'll camp out on Benavidez because I have a lot to say about Mr. David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? So go to screen share. Go over here. Am I loud? Give me a sec. I want to tell you something. All right, I'm back. I'm back. So look, we going straight to the screen share. So this boxingnews24.com. Some people like them, some people don't. Shout out to the fine folks at Boxing News 24. Listen, David Benavidez, he came in at 169 pounds. Now, I know this is a non-title fight. For those of you who don't know, I'm not one of these channels who's just hating on David Benavidez, and I'm not one of these channels that doesn't know the rules of boxing. In most states in this great country of America, okay, when you're involved in a non-title fight, you can come in a pound or two overweight. Many times in non-title fights, fighters will have contracted weights, and you're obligated to meet those contracted weights. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bit of a different ballgame when you're talking about dealing with non-title fights. But my thing is this: when you're Benavidez and you're trying to fight Canelo, and you have a history of being undisciplined, you should at least try and practice professionalism and make 168. But did he do that? No, he didn't do that. He had to come in at 169. So my thing is this. And look, I'm sorry. I'm gonna sound like a David Benavidez hater because I have a lot to say about David Benavidez, man. I think that David Benavidez hype is getting way out of hand. I mean, way out of hand. First and foremost, everybody keeps saying that David Benavidez is the guy to beat Canelo Alvarez, this, that, and the third. They can't see anybody beat David Benavidez. He's the boogeyman at 168. Nobody wants to fight him. The biggest lie ever told in boxing is that Caleb Plant was afraid of David Benavidez, and David Benavidez, Caleb Plant was being a sissy, and he was soft, and he didn't want to fight Caleb Plant for these reasons. You know what I'm saying? Well, look, I have a lot to say about him because I'm getting sick of it. I think people are believing a lot of the narratives and the lies that the media is pushing about David Benavidez. Now, is he a good fighter? Yes. Do I like watching him fight? Yes. Does David Benavidez have talent? Yes. Could he one day be the guy to beat Canelo? Yes. But is that time now? The answer is no. He has to develop. He's got some things to learn in the boxing ring. And truthfully, most of the things he's got to learn are really outside the boxing ring about being a fucking professional, because he don't make weight. He don't make weight. He does a lot of things really wrong. Now, look, a lot of my problems with David Benavidez stem from false narratives and people saying that Caleb Plant ducked David Benavidez, okay? Now, first of all, Caleb Plant never ducked David Benavidez. In fact, Caleb Plant went on record many times before Canelo was even at 168 and campaigned to get the Benavidez fight, all right? And I think it was after he beat Feigenboots. I think that was like February of last year. After he beat Feigenboots, he was calling for that fight. But as I'm going to show you guys, because I'm not just going to show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. As I'm going to show you guys in this USA Today article, this was what was the date on this? This was January 25th of last year. So January 5th, 2020. Okay, so the article is David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, unification in 2020. Forget about it, all right? So this article is important because this article, it sheds a lot of narratives of this boogeyman persona that Benavidez is trying to that people around Benavidez and the media are trying to manufacture. They're trying to say that people are scared of him. Nobody wants to fight him. They fear David Benavidez, and that couldn't be anything further from the truth, because the reality is this: Caleb Plant wanted to fight with David Benavidez, and when push came to shove, as you can see, if you guys can read, and reading is very fundamental, but a lot of people don't do that, right? David Benavidez is managed by a guy named Samson Lukowitz, very prominent figure in boxing. He has a company called Samson Boxing. Samson Lukowitz came out down himself January 2020. He shot down the possibility of a 2020 unification. This is before Canelo Alvarez was a 68-pounder. This is before Canelo Alvarez even fought Callum Smith. Months. We're talking about, this is like 11 months, a damn near a year before Canelo even fought for his first world title at 68. So with that being said, and with that being established here on True School Sports, as you can see right there, a 2020 unification, I don't believe so. Samson Lukowitz told Boxing Junkie, I believe we need more time. So they felt like they needed more time. And, you know, that time didn't come in the summer of 2020. It didn't come in the fall of 2020. I know Caleb Plant had surgery last year, so, I mean, there was that issue as well. But, like, he wasn't even open to the possibility of putting David Benavidez in the ring with Caleb Plant. So my thing is this, man. My thing is this: you can't sit here and a lot of boxing fans, I run into a lot of boxing fans, they say, oh, David Benavidez is the boogeyman, you know, And then what made me even more frustrated in following this whole situation with David Benavidez is that David Benavidez would go to the media, right? And he would say, yeah, man, Caleb Plant, he's a fucking pussy. I put him in the hospital. And, I know a lot of times I joke around about David Benavidez and I do my David Benavidez impression, but that's what he was saying. That's what he was saying, despite the fact that, as I'm showing you guys, despite that his own damn managers told you guys that they needed more time, he went to the media and told the media something differently to try to craft and frame and paint a narrative of what wasn't true. And casual boxing fans that don't know no better have taken it and run with it. And it's frustrated the hell out of me. It really has frustrated me. Now, going back to Benavidez, right? So this is like literally, this is the month right after. So this article right here, Caleb Plant will continue to push for a showdown with David Benavidez. This is also USA Today. This is also 2020. This is the month right after Samson Lukowicz just said that they needed more time. And Caleb Plant wanted that fight. He was pushing for that fight. All right. Now, we all know, we all know, and we've all already established that David Benavidez, his manager, said that they were never going to fight, right? So keep that in mind when I read you these quotes. So Caleb Plant states right here, I want to unify that fight. I want that fight with David Benavidez. When he won that world title against Ronald Gavril, I was standing at the bottom of the stairs. Before he could even get to the bottom of the stairs, I was standing there asking him, when are we going to make this happen? Okay. And then, nothing really came of it. He then went on by saying, I don't see too many other fighters standing at the bottom of the stairs right after somebody wins saying, hey, when are we going to get it cracking? So Caleb Plant wanted this fight. Contrary to popular belief, Caleb Plant wanted this fight. And I get sick of I get sick of the Caleb Plant slander, the Caleb Plant, hatred, when Caleb Plant is the one, that beat the guy that freaking was already on EPO and Jose Ukitake and beat him easily. You know what I'm saying? Benavidez went on Instagram that year, right? He went on Instagram that same year, okay? He said, it's easy to look good against a bum. I want to see you try to do that against me, Caleb Plant. And then he says, let's get this done. I don't want to keep the fans waiting. Caleb Plant ain't going to be talking tough anymore when I put his ass in the hospital. That's exactly what he said. All right, that's if you need me to read that again for you, I'll read it again. I'll read it again for you guys, my David Benavidez voice. If you didn't catch it that first time, I'll read it again for you, my David Benavidez voice. He said, "Let's get this done. Don't keep the fans waiting. Caleb Plant ain't gonna be tough talking anymore when I put his ass in the hospital." So look, man, I say these things to say, and we'll go back to full screen. I say these things to say that, look, I like Benavidez. I'm happy to see him back in the ring. I think he's a very talented fighter. But people act like he's this unbeatable boogeyman. They act like he's an unbeatable boogeyman. And truthfully, look, he's fighting Kyron Davis, right? Hold on, man. Y'all got me fired up today. By the way, shout out to everybody here. I'm gonna get to your comments. So if you got any comments, I'm gonna get to them. If you want me to get to them and stop what I'm doing, super chat me, send me a super chat and I'll get to you. But listen, man. Benavidez, right? He's fighting Kyron Davis, and look, I like Kyron Davis is cool. He had a good fight against Anthony Dirrell earlier this year that some people thought he won, but Kyron Davis is not a 168 pounder. I think his trainer is Stephen Breadman Edwards. He went on record himself this week and said that his fighting weight is closer more to like a 160. You know what I'm saying? It's closer to more like a 160. As opposed to the 68-pound limit he's fighting at. But he's really campaigned at 54. So, look, we're going to go full screen just so I can show you guys. Because, like I said, in my Caleb Plant voice, I can show you better than I can tell you. So I'm going to show you better than I can tell you, all right? So we're on the box rec right now of one Kyron Davis, 16-2-1, 6 KOs, coming to you live and direct from Monmouth County, New Jersey, all right? Look, he's up against it tomorrow. I'm not giving him much of a shot. I don't really think he has I think his defense is too leaky for Benavidez. He gets hit too much, and he's not a hard enough puncher. I don't think he's a slick enough boxer. I just think he's outgunned and outmanned in every department. And if this fight even gets to the championship rounds, I'm going to have a lot to say about David Benavidez. If David Benavidez don't get this guy out of there before the championship rounds, my perception of him as a fighter will be lowered extremely. Okay, now look. Kyron Davis, right? For those of you who aren't too familiar with Kyron Davis, okay? This guy is like 3 years removed from fighting Patrick Day. RIP to the great warrior Patrick Day. But Patrick Day was a 54-pounder. You know, a solid 54-pounder, but a 54-pounder. As you can see there, look, we're on BoxRec. I'm signed into my account on BoxRec. And when you're signed into your account on BoxRec, it gives you all the information. It gives you like the weights. It gives you the judges' scores, all that stuff. So Patrick Day, as you guys can see, he's 153.5 pounds. All right. So this means Kyron Davis was a 54-pounder. Early in his career, he turned pro. He fought at 56, 57, 60. So he's one thing we know about him. He's been at 54. He's been at 60, back and forth. This guy is not a 68-pounder. And he didn't really have a fight at 68 until he fought Anthony Durrell. Also, with Kyron Davis, he fought Martez McGregor. And Martez McGregor just fought this past weekend on Friday on the Top Rank card. He fought a fighter named Rowdy Legend Montgomery. And when he fought Rowdy Legend Montgomery, first of all, most of y'all probably don't even know who that is. I just found out who he was last Friday. He knocked the fuck out of Martez McGregor. Kyron Davis went the full 8 rounds with him. So that right there, off rip, tells you Kyron Davis cannot punch. He's got nothing with him. Nothing. Like absolutely nothing with him for David Benavidez to worry about. So when you look at who PBC picked as a replacement opponent for Benavidez and why they picked Kyron Davis as a replacement opponent for Benavidez, it wasn't because it was a competitive fight, and it wasn't because it was the kind of opponent that would get Benavidez ready for a Canelo fight, because that's not what this is about. This is about Benavidez looking as good as humanly possible so that the hype train for that Canelo fight can get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? A lot of people are asking me, I see in the comments, they say, did David Benavidez make weight? He technically did make the weight because it's a non-title fight. So when it's a non-title fight, you don't necessarily have to make the limit. You know, you could come in at 69 or 70. But my thing is, when you fight Canelo, you got to come in at 68. So why not practice right now? Why not practice some damn professionalism right now and get to 68? Because when you fight Canelo, you'll have to get to 68. And my thing is this, he's had problems, not just now, in other fights. He's a big boy for 68. So if he can't make 68, stop trying to do the Jarrett Hurd. Stop trying to, be a weight bully because you don't believe in your skills at the next weight class. If you can't make 68, take your big ass up to 75. You know what I'm saying? Take your big ass up to 75. You know, or are you too scared of Beterbiev and Bivol and all the other guys, Joe Smith Jr. and all them, to go up there? Because, you know, truthfully, man, like, Benavidez is a good fighter, but it's getting out of hand. Like the David Benavidez Kool-Aid, it's getting ridiculous. Like, he's good. I'd give him a chance against Canelo, of course, but like, come on, he's a good fighter, but he's flawed. He's a come forward fighter. He comes in with his hands down, fights in a high guard, got leaky defense. I mean, he got dropped by Ronald Graville. And a lot of you good people out there, y'all want to sit here and y'all want to criticize and y'all want to chastise and y'all want to do all these things to Demetrius Andrade. And people are so quick to say Demetrius Andrade won vacant titles. But when it comes to Benavidez winning a vacant title against Ronald Graville, you got a lot of you people out here don't keep the same energy. A lot of you people, you want to pick and choose who you criticize and don't criticize. Now, I don't know why that is, but I'm just pointing it out. People criticize Demetrius Andrade all the time for winning vacant belts at 54 and 60. But when it comes to Benavidez, oh, no, he's a killer. Oh, he's the boogeyman. Oh, nobody wants to fight him. But then, you know, how come he didn't fight Lionel Thompson? Why didn't PBC and the fine folks over there try to get him a fight with Lionel Thompson? I mean, after all, Lionel Thompson is the same guy that beat Jose Uzcategui, the guy he was trying to fight. So if he couldn't fight Uzcategui himself, then why not fight Lionel Thompson? You know, we know what it is, man. Benavidez is good, he's solid, but he's got some good things about him. But he ain't anything crazy. Like when we talk about, listen, I don't like Canelo Alvarez. I'm not a fan of him like that. But when we talk about Canelo Alvarez, we're talking about someone who's a creme de la creme, A-level fighter, and you're not gonna beat Canelo Alvarez, let alone be competitive with Canelo Alvarez, if you're not an A-level fighter yourself. So my thing is this: Benavidez is good. He's been ripping 8-punch combinations off on old ass Jillian Love and a shop worn Anthony Durrell and inferior Ronald Gavril, you know, and his claim to fame is beating up one of Canelo's sparring partners who couldn't even beat Jerry Odom, who Caleb Plant beat in the amateurs. Like, come on, man, he's good, but stop drinking the damn Kool-Aid. Like, please, for the love of God, and everything that is righteous and pure, please stop drinking the David Benavidez Kool-Aid. Because, like, he hasn't really done anything crazy. He passes the eye test. He's great, but eye test wise, but like he hasn't really, like, even eye test wise, like truthfully speaking, eye test wise, people wanted to criticize Caleb Plant for getting for Truax landing a couple punches on him, but when Benavidez got dropped by Ronald Gavril and won a split decision by the hairs of his chinny chin, people get quiet as a church mouse. That gets swept under the rug. But when it comes to Caleb Plant getting a shot landed on him by a guy who was a former world champion, he sucks. He's not that good. So I'm just calling out the double standards, man, because I keep seeing people cherry picking who they want to push as their favorite fighter. One SSS says he handpicked Romero Angulo. He claims that he fought in a title eliminator, but Ronald Ellis was not even in the rankings. This PBC with the fake eliminators, he said. Well, look, I'm not going to criticize the Romero Angulo win. I thought that was a good win for him because Angulo was just coming off of a win against Anthony Sims Jr., who was a very hyped up prospect at the time, and Angulo exposed him. So he fought him coming off that win. So I'm not going to criticize that win. But, I mean, come on, man. Your claim to fame. People say Demetrius Andrade, he got dropped by Vanes Martirosyan. But after he got dropped, yeah, he looked ugly, but the fight wasn't close. I mean, he won the majority of the rounds after that fight and won it convincingly. Benavidez was struggling. I thought he might have lost that fight, to be honest with you. Straight up. By the way, shout out to Hyro. He says, BT, can you read on my comments? Yeah, I got you, Hyro. He says, David Benavidez is going to be like Chavez Jr. I don't know about that, man. Truthfully, listen, man. Truthfully speaking, y'all want to hate on Chavez Jr., right? And I know it's very easy to throw salt on Chavez Jr.'s name, to kick some dirt on Chavez Jr. because he really, truthfully speaking, like I like Chavez. I hope he turned it around. I don't wish bad on nobody, but he really ain't shit right now in boxing. But Chavez Jr., I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll check right now to be sure, but this is the same Chavez Jr. that beat Andy Lee. I mean, Andy Lee, one of the hardest punchers at his weight class. Andy Lee was no joke. And Chavez beat him. He fought Andy Lee. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, man, this guy knocked out Andy Lee. He knocked out Andy Lee. And Andy Lee is hands down, better than any fighter Benavidez has ever stepped foot in the ring with or knocked out. So I can't even say he's on that level. He fought Sergio Martinez when Sergio Martinez was at his best. And yeah, he lost pretty much most of the rounds, but he still remained dangerous throughout the 12th round. He actually dropped Sergio Martinez. He beat Andy Lee, who's better than anybody that Benavidez has ever fought in his career. Stopped him before the championship rounds. Andy Lee, after that, still went on to become a world champion. And then he fought Sergio Martinez when Sergio Martinez was at his best, and he dropped him in the 12th round. But honestly, look, y'all might think I'm hating, but this ain't hating. Like, this is not hating at all. Benavidez hasn't even done what Chavez has done yet. And y'all are sitting here saying he's the guy to beat Canelo. Like, come on, man. Like, please. He, right now, like, I would say of all the guys that have belts in boxing, in my opinion, Jermall Charlo is the most overrated champion in boxing. But right now, Benavidez ain't a champion. The most overrated fighter in boxing, period, champion or no champion, is him. It's him. He hasn't done shit. He hasn't done anything. Like, he was just now gonna fight the guy that Caleb Plant beat 2 years ago for a world title. He was just now gonna fight him, and people were praising him for it. Like, I don't want to hear it, man. Like, I'm getting sick of the Benavidez Kool-Aid. Like, I really am. Shout out to my boy 29 Corey Official. He says, "What up? I would love to see Joe Smith Jr. versus David Benavidez. I'm sure you would like to see it, but the question isn't about whether you want to see it or whether I want to see it. The question is, does David Benavidez want to see it? You don't want to see Joe Smith. Does Samson Lukowicz who didn't even want Benavidez to see Caleb Plant. Does he want him to see Joe Smith Jr.? Hey, give me that belt. Give me that belt. Hold on. Yeah. I'm bringing this shit back. The champ is back. You know what I'm saying? Man? We got a lot of fraudulent perpetrating people on YouTube that don't know shit about boxing. So, I'm on my John Cena shit. I feel like John Cena.
And just to remind you,
I feel like Batista.
Undisputed.
Give me the other one, Johnny. Give me the other one, Johnny. I'm getting sick of it, man.
Undisputed.
I'm getting sick of it. I got so much freaking jewelry on me. I can't even. We spinning on these. We spinning on them. Anyway, man, look. David Benavidez, how he's like, somebody needs to explain to me. How on God's green earth is David Benavidez gonna beat Canelo when he can't even beat the scales? Like, come on. BT, tell him about his cement feet. Yeah, man. Listen, he said, like, I know a lot of times I talk about Canelo being cement footed, and Canelo is cement footed to a point, but he makes it work for him, and he's got great upper body movement, and he's a master of efficiency and managing the rounds. Benavidez doesn't have that kind of experience to have those type of qualities right now, and he fights in his high guard. Sometimes he squares up. That's why Ronald Gavril dropped his ass. Like, I'm getting sick of it, man. And the reason I probably sound frustrated is because during the entire Caleb Plant fight week, right? God bless Caleb Plant and Canelo. During the entire Caleb Plant Canelo fight week, all I heard, no matter who I talked to, was, I just can't see anybody beating Canelo but David Benavidez. And I ask why. Nobody got a fucking answer. Nobody got an answer. And I talked to some smart people. Nobody got an answer. They just feel. Well, guess what? Your feelings can lead you astray. And if you're a man saying, "Oh, well, I feel," then you're not a man. You can't go by your feelings. You got to go by what's true and righteous. And look,
I very feel.
Usyk is the only guy that can go by his feelings because it's worked for him. But if you're not Usyk, you can't do that. But I'm just saying, man, like, after hearing that shit for a whole week, and then we get to this fight week, and then he's fighting a 54-pounder, then he can't even make the weight. I don't want to hear it, because I know tomorrow he's gonna do what he's supposed to do. He's gonna fight Kyron Davis, who doesn't have nothing to keep him off of him at all. And then he's gonna knock him out, and everybody's gonna say he's this killer. Nobody wants to fight David Benavidez. They're ducking David Benavidez. But then meanwhile, I was just on the strip 2 weeks ago with my boy Lionel Thompson, one of the top 68 pounders out there that the boxing game won't give no freaking fights to. And I don't hear Benavidez calling him out.
Kyron Davis by split decision, baby. He rapped.
He said, "Damn, who hurt you?" Nobody hurt me, man. I'm a passionate individual. I'm just a passionate individual. And I'm getting sick of, like, every time I come to Vegas, right? I like Vegas because every time I come to Vegas, I learn more things about the inside of what goes on in boxing and whatnot. And you start to learn what's fact and what's fiction with these fighters. And when I come to Vegas, I know what's fact for the most part behind the scenes with a lot of these fighters, and I know what's fiction. So when I hear, like, there's things I know about Benavidez, man. I don't even want to get into it, but, like, there's things I know about him, man. Like, the guy he's cool. He's a cool little fighter. He's cool. Like, but he's not Canelo. He's not Caleb Plant. And truthfully speaking, I don't even know if he beat Lionel Thompson. I don't. And if he fought Lionel Thompson and beat him, that would be the best guy on his resume so far. Straight up. Since everybody wants to talk about resumes. Valiant says, Benavidez fights with his trunks all the way up to his paps. I think Benavidez is soft the body. He might be food for Canelo. He is. He absolutely is. I'm no Canelo fan at all. Anybody who watches this channel knows I'm no Canelo fan like that. But he absolutely is. He's soft to the body. He can't make the weight. So that means he's either going to be more soft to the body. And he fights in a high guard. And he's got no foot speed. It's a recipe for disaster. It is an absolute recipe for disaster if he fights Canelo. Take that to the bank and cash your checks on Sunday. Piece of Milky Way says, bow down to Canelo for beating Plant. Fuck that. I don't bow down to anybody but Jesus Christ himself. But I give Canelo his respect. I'm no spoiled sport. He won the fight. I went back and I watched that fight, and I'll be honest with you, when I watched that fight a second time, I saw a little bit differently than I did the first time. I thought Caleb Plant was boxing the shit out of him when I watched it again. So Doesn't matter what if he was up or down. I had Caleb Plant up by a lot when I watched it the second time. But Canelo still found a way to knock him out, and that's what a true champion does. Canelo found a way to make the adjustment, and he turned it on when it mattered. He turned it on when it mattered. What would you say to someone that has Deontay Wilder number 2 pound for pound? I would tell them that they need to go fucking watch croquet, tennis, horse racing, billiards, NASCAR, Formula One, because boxing clearly ain't the sport for them. How the hell Wilder gonna be pound for pound number 2 in boxing when he's probably not even pound for pound number 2 in his own weight class? Riddle me that one. Riddle me that one. But listen, look. I know right now you guys might think I'm hating on Benavidez and I'm being disrespectful and this, that, and the third. At the end of the day, I just want to see. I want to see what's fact and what's fiction. I have an obsession with the truth and knowing if these fighters are what they claim to be, what the promoters claim to be, and what the fans claim to be. And Benavidez has done nothing to warrant any of this praise he's getting. And look, I hate to say it like this. But I'm going to call a spade a spade. I feel like the sport of boxing right now is desperate to create stars. And I feel like the sport of boxing and the boxing industry is clutching at straws, trying to create a star. And more so than that, I feel like the sport of boxing is clutching at straws, trying to create a Mexican-American star. And Benavidez is exciting. He's fan-friendly. And that's the guy they're trying to prop up to beat Canelo. But they're going to find out. That there's levels to this. And truthfully, look, I don't even think Benavidez would do as good against Canelo as Caleb Plant did, because I thought when I watched it back the second time, I thought Caleb Plant was winning a lot of rounds against Canelo. I mean, Jesus, man. I thought some of y'all were crazy for having, because I remember on the live, some of y'all had like 6'4" Plant. Some of y'all had it 7'3" Plant. I had it, when I watched it back, I had it 7'3" Plant, because Canelo, a lot of these shots that I thought he was landing, or that maybe the commentators might have influenced me to think were landing, a lot of them are missing or hitting the gloves. And he was controlling a lot of these rounds. But like I said, he found a way later in the fight to get the stoppage. So the result wasn't in question. He did his thing. Respect to him. But I don't think Benavidez will win as many rounds against Canelo as Plant did. That's just my opinion. Kev in effect, what's good, champ? Good to see you. He says, I like to see Canelo fight Benavidez to be lineal. Then Charlo. Meanwhile, 160 continues to fight. I want the winner of Murata versus GGG to fight Boo Boo, and then maybe we can get undisputed after that. Well, look, in an ideal world, that'd be great. If boxing was organized and there weren't so many hands in the proverbial cookie jar, that'd be great. But that's very unrealistic. I don't think these guys want to fight Demetrius Andrade. And Kev, you're a pretty smart guy. You comment a lot, so you pretty much know the deal with Andrade. He says, bro, BFTV said Wilder is number 2 pound for pound. Well, hey, God bless him, man. Look, I've already commented on the LDBC after the Wilder fight. I don't need to comment no more. If he's got him pound for pound number 2, that's his cross to bear, not mine. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody here, man. Make sure you hit that like button. Smash, definitely take time to subscribe. We have a lot to talk about. This might be a 3-4 hour live. I have a lot to talk about. So if you're just getting off work, or if you're going somewhere in the car, or you ain't got shit to do, you pick the right live to come to, because I have a lot to talk about. Like, I have a lot of shit to get off my chest before tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? One SSS, he says, I have a friend at Brick House who claims David Benavidez takes diuretics and PEDs to train. That's why he came in overweight, because of the bubble strict testing. Well, listen, I'm not gonna say too much, but I don't think you're too far off. I'm gonna leave it at that. Oh man, there's a lot of comments. He says, nah, LOL, Canelo haters always hype up any fighter that can dethrone Canelo, so they always find undefeated fighter with an okay record to hype him up too much. Yeah, well look, Benavidez is just too much, man. I don't see what the fuss and what the who and the holler is about with Benavidez. Like, truthfully, he need to go to 75. He need to take his big ass up to 75 and stop being a weight bully. A lot of you guys want to know about Munguia versus Rosado, and we're gonna get to Munguia versus Rosado. Don't you worry, just bear with me. I still have more to say about Benavidez, because that's the main subject of this live, and I want to make sure I get on my points off. So we're going back to screen share now. Look, Benavidez, man, he's over here shooting his mouth off, and he said that boxing lets Canelo do whatever he wants. That's why he's got that short suspension. So let's see what Benavidez had to say, man. I find this interesting because, you know, a lot of people were saying that when Plant was talking a lot of shit during the first press conference that, oh, he shouldn't get the fight. He's being disrespectful. So to people in the comments, is this disrespectful? Here's what Benavidez said in regards to Canelo Alvarez. He says, I quote, "This is definitely something that has to be taken serious. Steroids is a serious problem. You know, he has to pay the punishment. I definitely feel like he needs to be punished a little bit more than 6 months. They're very lenient on Canelo. They let Canelo do whatever he wants. That's why he was able to get that short suspension. Suspensions for PEDs should be for almost a year or a year and a half. It's nothing to play with. I think people have to be punished more." And listen, I'm in agreement with Benavidez, right? But listen, I have to really ask the question. I have to ask you guys the question and bring it to everybody's attention, because when Plant was saying that Canelo was a drug cheat and he was bringing this to the light, a lot of people said that Plant was being disrespectful. A lot of people were saying that Plant wasn't being professional, that he was making excuses for the fight. So yes or no to anybody who supports Benavidez, is Benavidez being disrespectful? Because, you know, I'm saying these things because I'm seeing a lot of double standards, and I'm getting sick of double standards. You know, I'm getting sick of double standards at all levels of boxing, at the championship level of boxing, at, you know, for prospects, you know, everywhere, man. I'm just getting sick of it. Everywhere. You know, but listen, I think I've talked enough about Benavidez. I don't want to talk about Benavidez no more. I'm gonna switch gears. If y'all got any comments, questions, thoughts, concerns about Benavidez, y'all can go ahead and y'all can ask me, and I'll be happy to answer them. We're gonna talk about Rosado. We're gonna talk about a real fight. Fuck that bullshit. We're gonna spend some time talking about a real fight. All right, and it's your boy BT, Brendan Taylor, the untouchable, True School Sports Empire, El Intocable. You know, the WWE champion of the YTBC, man. Listen. I'm going to get to this last comment about Benavidez, and then I'm going to get to Munguia Rosado. So Valiant says, I was on the Benavidez train, but this time he's missing weight. Enough is enough. The kid is a weight bully. And he is. To me, and you may hate, you may like it, you may hate it, but we call a spade here on True School Sports. David Benavidez is the Mexican Jarrett Hurd. All right? He's the Mexican Jarrett Hurd because it's the same shit. Jarrett Hurd is a gargoyle. He's huge. He's like, he walks around like damn near 200 pounds, if not 200 pounds, and he boils all the way down to 54. He just now moved to 60. And same thing with Benavidez. He's the Mexican Jarrett Hurd. You know, I'm gonna start calling him that. From now on, I'm calling him the Mexican Jarrett Hurd until he moves up to 75. He is the Mexican Jarrett Hurd. The only difference between him and Jarrett Hurd is that Jarrett Hurd actually unified titles. So it is what it is, man. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT. Listen, tomorrow we got a great fight, a hell of a fight. You know, the zone, 160. You know, you got Gabe Rosado at a very interesting place in his career. You know, he's no longer the guy that's learning on the job. He's now evolved from a guy that was learning on the job to now being an experienced, wildly veteran of the sport. This is a guy that not too long ago I thought outboxed Daniel Jacobs. This is a guy that not too long ago he was the B side and he was the underdog against Bektir Mulikuziev, and he knocked him out. I mean, he was losing. I think he got dropped in that fight as well, but he found a way to win. And I really feel like Gabe Rosado is suffering. He's benefiting from what I call Freddie Pendleton syndrome. And for those of you who don't know, all right, for those of you who don't know who Freddie Pendleton is, Freddie Pendleton was a lightweight contender. I believe he's either lightweight or welterweight, somewhere between 135 and 147. Somebody can correct me, but he was a fighter back in the 90s who, much like Rosado, didn't have the most amateur experience. Took a lot of losses. Took a lot of tough fights on short notice. Fought like Roger Mayweather and Tyrone Trice and Jorge Paez, but because he took too many tough fights early in his career, he got better, and he actually lost so many times and got so much experience that he eventually became a guy that won a world title, and he actually holds the record for the most for the most losses for a fighter that has the most losses to win a world title. He had, I believe, like 22 losses when he became world champion. But the moral of the story is he became world champion. And it's the same thing with Rosado. He's got well over what is it, 13 losses, 14 losses, a lot, a lot. And he's not going to be afraid of Munguia. Now, the only thing I'm worried about when it comes to Rosado is he's got to cut down from 68 to 60. So maybe, he might be a bit weight drained, and that could play a role in the fight. But I think Rosado's got the tools to beat Munguia. I just think Munguia at 60 is too strong. Munguia at 60 has really filled out nicely at the weight. Munguia at 60, I think, is a better fighter than the Munguia at 54. 54 Munguia was leaving a lot to be desired, and he was getting outboxed and all this stuff. But Rosado versus Munguia is a great fight. It's a hell of a fight. And I want to know what you guys think. Like, y'all let me know. Who are y'all picking tomorrow? Give me your predictions. I want to know, like, who's picking Rosado. Like, I want to see what y'all got to say about that. Shout out to Hyro. Hyro says Ryota Murata does more views than the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. That's very true. But listen, that's not saying much, because Ryota Murata does more views than everybody in boxing and most people in sports. So that's not really saying much. But Munguia versus Rosado is a good fight, because I feel like Rosado has shown enough in his career where he can box that veteran performance. He showed it in the Jacobs fight. He can box that veteran performance where he can be disciplined for 12 rounds and outbox you and use the jab and feint and mix in the right hand. And Munguia has shown in the past, guys like Dennis Hogan, he's shown problems in the past with guys who can box and move. So he's got that going for him. He's got the experience on his side. He can punch a little bit. The only problem is he hasn't been at 60 in a long time. So it's going to be really, really, really tough. And look, if Munguia won this fight, he got to fight somebody like truthfully elite at 60, whether it's Demetrius Andrade, who he's been ducking for almost 2 years now. He should fight him. Or he should fight Johnny Bank Alam-Coley, who's ranked number 2 in the WBO. So fight one of them two if you beat Rosado. Let me see. That's how Yao Ming was. He always had the most all-star votes. He did. Yao Ming always had the most all-star votes. So Yao Ming was like the Canelo of basketball. Fuck me. Yao Ming was the truth, though. He would have been one of the greatest centers if he never got injured. But Munguia versus Rosado, a good fight. I want to see how Munguia deals with the jab and the boxing ability of Rosado. If Rosado comes in the early rounds and tries to box him, I want to see how Munguia deals with that, because Munguia has shown problems in the past with guys who can box. He has. That's no secret. And look, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, there's been a lot of things going on in boxing. A lot of people last week, because of how the Plant Canelo fight played out, a lot of people questioning the knockout. People were saying that Canelo Plant was fixed. I never put anything past fights at the pay-per-view level, but I'm not going to discredit Canelo's win. I really feel like boxing needs Rosado. I feel like boxing needs Rosado to win. There's always so much corruption and so many negative things to talk about in boxing that we need a guy like, every now and then, for the spirits of boxing fans and for the health of the sport, we need a guy like Rosado to win, a guy who got it from the mud, a guy who don't got the pretty record, a guy that was the beast side. We need a guy like Rosado to win. And Rosado's probably one of the only fighters in boxing who has 10 losses that has a fan base, because if you go on Instagram or any post about this fight, a lot of people are supporting Rosado. A lot of Mexicans are supporting Rosado because he's fought all comers, and he always gives a good show when he fights. The only problem for Rosado is that, and he's always had this problem, he's had this Arturo Gatti problem where, you hit him one time and he cuts very easily. So I feel like the cuts will be an issue for him. I feel like the cuts will be a factor in this fight, but it's a good fight for Munguia. Munguia at 60 has fought he's fought Spike O'Sullivan, Toriano Johnson, and Rosado, to me, is, even though he's not a 60-pounder at this point, is probably the best fighter he's fought at 60. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Gabe Rosado is the best fighter Munguia has fought at 60 so far? Yes or no? All right. I'm gonna put the belts on. I'm gonna put the belt down. Maybe I'll put the belt. I'll put the belt right here. The belt's getting too heavy. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's not easy to carry around all this jewelry, all these belts. But I appreciate everybody here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Let me know where you guys watching from. What city, what state, what continent are you guys watching from? I love to hear from you guys. Yeah, so a lot of you guys are saying, yeah, that Rosado is his biggest challenge easily. Absolutely. And it'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight. You know, it's a Mexico versus Puerto Rico fight. You know, I know a lot of times boxing tries to play up Mexico versus Puerto Rico, but there really hasn't been, like, in my opinion, y'all can let me know, but there really hasn't been a truthfully great Mexico versus Puerto Rico fight in a long time. So maybe this could break the drought of Puerto Rico versus Mexico not having great fights. And honestly, look, Puerto Rico been getting their ass kicked. Like I'm Puerto Rican myself, but let's be real. Puerto Rico been getting their ass whooped badly by Mexico. Christopher Diaz got his ass whooped by Navarrete. Josue Vargas got his ass whooped by Zepeda. So Puerto Rico, I feel like, is overdue for a win. It kind of reminds me, for anybody who watches like soccer, like I'm a big fan of Everton, right? And Everton had this long ass losing streak, a huge losing streak against their arch rivals, Liverpool. And it went on for like 20 plus years. But eventually, you know, Everton had to win a game, and they finally won one last year against them. So maybe, just maybe, this could be that for the Puerto Rican fighters. Dave Martinez says he's in Dade County. Shout out to Dade County, South Florida, stand up, you know. I'm in Las Vegas right now, but I'm South Florida everywhere I go. So Dania Beach, I represent Dania Beach everywhere I go. South Florida to the death of me. Shout out to you in Dade County. 704 Joe out there in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, we ain't heard. Rosado is going to school, Munguia. Rocky Austin, and I love your picture. You know, the Rock and Stone Cold. I hope you're right, man. You know, I hope so, because I'm not really a fan of Munguia like that. Like he's an exciting fighter to watch at times, but man, he's got some bad gifts. I mean, he got a gift against Hogan. That one left a sour taste in my mouth. He had the close fight with Takashi Inoue a couple years ago. He's been ducking Demetrius Andrade for over a year and a half. I'm just getting sick of him. So I would like to see it. And aside from the things I dislike about Munguia, from the Rosado side of things, Rosado is just like, to me, when you talk about Philadelphia fighters, what it means to be a Philadelphia fighter, he embodies that to me. You know, he really, really embodies that to me. Celestial Box is fixed. Caleb was stalling to catch his breath. Then, as his fortune ran short, Canelo took him out. Caleb was running desperately, trying to survive. The LDBC is mad because their god fell by Nello. Hey, I don't know what they got going on over there, but I ain't dumb. Listen, man, I'm not gonna sit here and say if it was fixed or not, but like I said, at that level of pay-per-view boxing, championship level, I never put it past any fighter, any fight being fixed in any way, shape, or form. But Canelo won the fight. You can't sit here and hate him. You gotta give him, especially me, I gotta give him his credit. Let's see. Kevin Effect says Shakur Stevenson is part Puerto Rican. Blood is blood. Shout out to him. And you know what, man? I'm glad you said that, because I've been making this joke on social media. I've been saying that the biggest Puerto Rico versus Mexico fight in boxing is Shakur Stevenson versus Chris Colbert. Yeah, that's the biggest fight, because for those of you who don't know, Chris Colbert is part Mexican and Shakur Stevenson Puerto Rican, so I don't want to hear it. The biggest Puerto Rico versus Mexico fight is Chris Colbert versus Shakur Stevenson. That's the fight they need. That's the Puerto Rico versus Mexico fight they need to be pushing. Not no Edgar Berlanga versus Canelo. They need to be pushing Chris Colbert versus Shakur Stevenson. Top Rank and PBC were smart, they would do that. But they're not going to do it, because boxing promoters aren't the smartest people in the world. You know what I'm saying? 169 is the contracted weight for this 10-rounder, but 169 won't be the contracted weight when he fights Canelo. So like I said earlier, practice professionalism now, you know, because if you can't make 168 now, what the hell you think is going to happen when you fight Canelo, you know, a year from now? Because Canelo's already on record saying he's not fighting until May. So we're in November right now. We're talking about what? December, January, February, April, May. We're talking about 5 to 6 months away from Benavidez fighting Canelo at the earliest, if things go perfectly for him. If not, then we're looking at a year. So, you know, practice now. You see. Salute BT. Thoughts on the planned Canelo combo during the 9th round? What were my thoughts on it? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have any thoughts. I'd rather just keep them to myself, to be honest with you. I'd rather keep my thoughts on that to myself, because if I say my thoughts, I don't want to sound like I'm discrediting Canelo or anything like that. So I'm just gonna keep them to myself. But what I will say was, I think there was a lot of nervous energy from Caleb Plant, and it is what it is. I don't believe the fight was fixed, but money talks. Yeah, man. Always has, always will. This kid's corny LOL. Sports betting is legal now. Just saying. Who are you speaking to me? I know you ain't speaking to me, because ain't nothing corny about me, champ. Shout out to the and by the way, shout out to Rafael. He says, shout out to the Hispaniola. We are all cousins anyway. Absolutely. Elwin Soto got exposed by, you know what? Hey, you're right, Hyro. I didn't watch that fight, so you're right. So Puerto Rico did get over the hump in a big fight. I just didn't watch it. Jonathan Gonzalez exposed Elwin Soto, who already got exposed by Kasanori Takayama. So thank you for the correction. I'm glad I got good people like Hyro and all my viewers to keep me sharp. Keep me sharp. But look, y'all don't understand. I got a lot of things I wanna run through. So I'm gonna go back to screen share. I'm going to go back to screen share because I have a lot of topics I want to talk about. Kevin Effect says, on something more serious, I'm sad as hell as a boxing fan that we can't see. Are you saying can or can't? Can. We can see Cuban Olympian Andy Cruz. Yeah, Andy Cruz, he just won a gold medal at the AIBA World Championships. I had a chance to watch one of his I did watch one of his fights in the World Championships the other night. He fought a guy from Turkey and he beat the shit out of him. So that was the only fight of his I watched from the AIBA World Championships. Andy Cruz has absolutely mastered the art of winning amateur fights. I think he's unbeatable as an amateur, but as a pro, I think he will have a lot of problems because he's got a lot of amateur habits. So we'll see. We'll see if he can get to America and defect from Cuba. It'll be something to watch, but he's gonna have a hard time. But let me get to the screen share, right? Because there is some things I want to talk about. Now, listen, man. Listen, this has been one of the most talked about fights in the history of this channel. For those that know and those that don't know, and you know what? Give me my damn championship belt for this one. I need my belt for this one. This one's give me the John Cena belt. You know what I'm saying? This has been one of the most talked about fights on this channel for a long time. Now, as you guys can see on the screen, Amir Khan is hoping to fight Kell Brook, and that it'll be finalized in the coming days. And then another article came out, I think today, Kell Brook applies pressure on Amir Khan to finalize a 2022 showdown. So, look, this fight is a fight that I know it's way past its best sell-by date. I know a lot of people don't really give a fuck about Kell Brook or Amir Khan anymore, but I feel like it's still a big fight. Like I feel like it's one of those fights that boxing fans are going to hate, and they're going to criticize, and they're going to say they don't care about now. But if Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, and the fine folks were to actually come out with an announcement in like a promo video, people will get excited about it because it's better late than never. It's better that it happened now than it not happen at all. And then we say, oh, well, this was a fight that should happen and it didn't. And truthfully, there's literally no other fight for either of them. I don't think Khan is a threat to anybody who holds a title at 47. Neither is Kell Brook anymore. And they both have their fragile ways to them. Khan's got the chin. Kell Brook has the eye sockets. So it's a good fight. Like it's a really, really big fight. And I think it'll be big in the UK. I don't think it's a stadium fight. Like I don't think it's a fight that will sell out Wembley Stadium. I think at one point in time, this was a Wembley Stadium fight. This was a fight that people, could get excited about and really just be excited for because it really meant something. Like back in 2014, 2015, this fight really meant something. These guys were both top 5 welterweights. Kell Brook had an IBF title. He was looked at to be arguably the number 1 welterweight in the world at a time, and they fucked it. They really pissed the fight away. So it's not a stadium fight anymore, but it's definitely a fight that I think it could sell out the O2 Arena. It really could. As far as who I think will win the fight, I know Rafael Calvo says I got Khan in that fight on points. I'm team Kell Brook, man. I'm a huge Kell Brook fan, so I'm gonna go with Kell Brook by knockout. I think the titanium eye sockets are just a little bit stronger than the glass chin of Amir Khan, and I think Kell Brook puts him out and ends his career the way he should. Kell Brook's fought everybody. Kell Brook never been afraid of the big challenges, and I would like to see him, take this fight and beat Amir Khan, make some good money for himself, and put the bow on top of what's been a good career. Not a great career. It could have been a great career if he was managed better, but a good career that could have been great. So what do y'all think, man? Like, what do y'all think about Khan versus Brook potentially happening and being a thing? It's been a fight that people wanted to see at some point. I know a lot of people in America probably don't care anymore because, from the American perspective, right? From the American perspective, Kell Brook and Amir Khan are just the two guys that got knocked out by Terrence Crawford the last couple of years. Because that's what most American fight fans are going to look at those two guys as. Two guys that were good, two guys that were once champions, two guys that were once elite, that fought Terrence Crawford recently and got pieced up badly and got knocked out by Terrence Crawford. But I think Kell Brook will win. But look, I wanted to just throw that out there and see what you guys thought about it. Ali313, shout out to you. He says, let's go Khan. If it happens, Kell Brook should win. Boxing Leonard. I agree. Eddie passed on the fight. Too much money for him. Still bitter about Kell. I picked up the fight. The youngest promoter in the world. Yeah, shout out to my main man, 50 grand. The CEO, the head honcho, the Dun Dada of the fastest growing boxing promotional company in the world. Boxer. Not BOXER, but BOXXER. Ben Shalom making waves, man. He's out here making big fights. So shout out to Ben Shalom. Now look, man, I don't know if y'all saw this. By the way, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Definitely take the time to super chat if you appreciate the channel. But listen, I don't know if y'all noticed, but there was a whole string of fights that got announced. Like, there's been a lot of fights in boxing that have been announced. So I'm gonna take this time to talk about a couple of them because there are some matchups that are worth being talked about. You know what I'm saying? So we'll start. We'll go to screen share, right? We'll go to screen share again. Back to screen share, back to boxing scene. Now, one fight that just got announced, and I'm actually pretty excited about this fight. You got two fighters that can really punch. One guy that's probably past his best days in Uniesky Gonzalez, taking on Gilberto Ramirez in a WBA light heavyweight eliminator. So it's an important fight for the two of them. Now, I like this fight for Gilberto. I feel like Uniesky Gonzalez is a dangerous opponent. He's experienced. This is the same Uniesky Gonzalez that's been in there with Shabransky and he had that controversial fight with John Pascal. He's proven throughout his career that he belongs at that level. He just hasn't been able to quite get over the hump, whether it's been by hook or by crook, because he did fight Alexander Gvozdyk as well. And Alexander Gvozdyk knocked him out in like 3 rounds. So this to me, I'm looking at this for Uniesky Gonzalez as his last chance to really be a factor in boxing. Uniesky Gonzalez, I had a chance to watch him last year because he's from my area. He trains in Miami. Last December, Uniesky Gonzalez actually experimented with the move to 168. And I guess that didn't work out. He got a knockout last December and his fight at 168. But I guess he decided, you know what? I'll go up to 75, take on Gilberto Ramirez, and it's a good fight. And look, I'll tell you this. Gilberto should win. I think Uniesky Gonzalez has too many miles on the odometer and he's too shop worn at this point, but he can still punch. He's 21-3 with 17 knockouts. Been competitive in pretty much all of his fights except the Alexander Gvozdyk fight. So if people think that Gilberto Ramirez is going to be a walk in the park, a guy that's a Gonzalez, I should say. If people think Uniesky Gonzalez is going to be a walk in the park, a cakewalk for Gilberto Ramirez, they have another thing coming. They really do. So I like that fight. It's two punches. It's two guys that are bringing a lot to the table when we talk about the attributes of punching power, strength, and just giving the fans exciting, good fights for their money. And this fight, for those of you who don't know, this fight will be December the 18th. And this fight will be at AT&T Stadium. No, the AT&T Center with a San Antonio Spurs play. Now, look, I told y'all about the main event, right? Which is Gilberto Ramirez versus Yunieski Gonzalez. But let me tell y'all about the real main event. The real main event. Now, it's not the real main event because it's a competitive fight, but it's the real main event because of who's in the fight. And y'all see it. Y'all see it. Y'all see who it is. All right. The co-main event, but to me, it's the real main event, is the very lovely but equally talented Seniesa Superbad Estrada, you know, with her third fight this year, making her first defense of a world title. You know, she's going to be going back down to minimum weight, which I'm so happy about because, you know, Seniesa Estrada has said many times in her interviews that her natural weight class is 105, but she didn't even get a chance to fight at 105 till she fought for the world title against Annabelle Ortiz back in, was it March or April, on the Virgil Ortiz Hooker undercard. So this is only her second career fight at 105, which is her best weight class. She's taking on a girl named Maria La Imparable Santizio, who on paper has a good record. She's 9-0 with 5 knockouts from Guatemala. But I had to look at her box rec. She's fought really a bunch of padded nobody. So it's a fight for Seniesa just to make some money, to stay active, to stay match fit. But listen, I'm happy, and I'm going. Listen, I'm telling y'all this. Y'all know I love y'all know I love me some Seniesa Estrada. Y'all know I support Seniesa Estrada to the fullest, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be all the way in San Antonio at this fight to support Seniesa Estrada and catch a good night of boxing. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. Seniesa Estrada, like one of the most talented, not just women's fighters, but to me, she's one of the most talented fighters. She does her thing in there, you know. She does her thing. You know, I had a chance to see her recently. She was, you know, pick her brain about boxing. She's very smart, very, very smart girl. So yeah, December the 18th, Golden Boy Promotions, Gilberto Ramirez returns to the ring against Yunieski Gonzalez. What do you think, Johnny? Give me your thoughts on that fight.
I think Yunieski Gonzalez is gonna box very well from 1 to 6, and then after that, I think Gilberto Ramirez will start to break him down, and I would like to take Gilberto Ramirez unanimous decision, 115, 113. Gilberto Ramirez. I think it's gonna be a close fight.
No, you haven't, Johnny's saying it's a close fight, and I'm telling anybody who listen, man. Like I think Johnny got a good point. Like I think Yunieski will be dangerous in the first 6 rounds. And listen, Yunieski Gonzalez, he got 17 knockouts in 24 fights. So he's not someone you can get punched by too many times flush and expect to survive. If he touches you, he can take it to some deep, uncomfortable places.
He really, to me, I thought he beat Jean Pascal.
I thought so too. Even though I like Pascal, I thought he beat him too. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, we got Jairo said Angelo Leo said on ES News he's fighting in January. Well, he may have said that, but you know, I think his timeline, you know, gonna change up a little bit.
How long ago was that video?
Hey, when was that interview, Jairo? Let me know when, because I have a strange feeling his timeline's gonna change. Yeah. When's Inoue gonna move up in weight? I don't know. I mean Inoue is fighting some guy I never heard of. Next, you know, he's doing what he did at 115, pretty much. He's not fighting none of the top guys. I like him. Very talented, one of the best fighters out there. But man, it's been 2 years since he fought Donaire. It's been a whole 2 years since he fought Donaire, and he's
riding that wave.
Huh?
He's riding that wave.
He's riding that wave.
Can't blame him.
That's his Jose Uzcategui. He's riding the hell out that wave. But yeah, lot of fights got announced, man. A whole lot of fights got announced. Another fight that I'm excited about, which really isn't too unexpected, is that you can say the date. There's an official date. There's an official time. December the 29th, live on DAZN. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, returns to the ring in an attempt to unify the division with Japan's very own, the fighting pride of Japan, gold medalist from Japan. You know, the biggest, the real cash cow in boxing, the real A side, Ryota Murata. Big fight, man. And listen, I don't think y'all quite understand the implications this fight has on boxing all the way around, especially if Ryota Murata somehow does the unthinkable and wins. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to pick Murata. He's got 2 losses. He's 16-2, not 17-2. He's 16-2. But he's avenged those losses. He's knocked out the guys he lost to. He knocked them out, and he avenged them like Lennox Lewis.
they need to stop ducking my boy after he beat Brian Rogue. They need to come see old ass Sergio Martinez.
Sergio Martinez is still here, man. Sergio Martinez is lying in the weeds, waiting for somebody to call his name. And he said, if they call my name, I'll be their Huckleberry. They don't want no smoke with Sergio Martinez.
He called out Dimitri Andre. He said he wanted.
He don't want that, bro. He don't want that. He don't want that. But yeah, Golovkin versus Murata is a big fight. And I'm going to tell you guys why. So if you guys never knew this, let me bring it to your attention. We're going back to screen share. Make sure y'all smash that like button, super chat. So Murata, I know he's not the best fighter in the world or anything like that. I know he's not really like a guy that you would class as the best champion in that division or the second best champion at 160. But yeah, he's the weakest champion at 160. But this is a guy that got 30 million views. 30 million. The dirty 30 million. Fighting Hassan Madam in the rematch. Okay, y'all see it right there. When he fought, I'm showing you guys. Listen, in my Caleb Plant voice, I can show you better than I can tell you. All right, he got 30 million views when he fought Hassan Madam. Hassan Madam ain't no big name. He ain't got no country behind him. Okay, but he got 30 million views.
Like Floyd said,
he got a country behind him. When Murata fought, whatchamacallit? When Murata fought, was this Dom as well? I think this was the Dom. Anyway, all you need to know is he got 30 million against Hassan Madam, okay? He got 30 million fighting Hassan Madam. Now, comparatively speaking, right, we know Canelo Alvarez isn't a 60-pounder, but he's around that weight, and Canelo always says that he's looking to make history, which is code for he's trying to make money and elevate his status in boxing, all right? Now, in my humble opinion, when we talk about which fights for Canelo could draw the most views globally, it ain't Boo-Boo, it ain't Benavidez, it's not Munguia. It's not that fight either. It's Murata. It's Murata. Because when you talk about Murata versus Canelo, we're talking about Japanese television involved. We're talking about Mexican television involved. We're talking about American television involved. This is a global event.
At the Tokyo Dome?
At the Tokyo Dome. Like, listen. I'm gonna stop talking. This is what Canelo did when he fought Floyd. So this is when he fought Floyd, it was the biggest event in the history of Mexican television. Mexican television, as far as boxing ratings are concerned, has never seen an event before as big as Mayweather Alvarez or after since Mayweather and Alvarez, right? It was the biggest boxing event. So I just showed you guys. Murata did 30 million views fighting Hassan Madam in the rematch. When Canelo fought Floyd, he did 22.1 million views, which means, as you guys can see right there on the screen, which means that Murata got more views. He got more views fighting Hassan Madam in a rematch than Canelo did fighting Floyd in the biggest fight the country's ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this, right? GGG should beat Murata. But think about it. GGG is old. He's 39. He's going on the road. He's not motivated. If Murata can somehow knock out Golovkin or stop him, I'm telling y'all right now, the biggest fight in boxing globally is Canelo versus Murata because of the numbers Murata can do by himself fighting the Hassan Adams in the world, and because of the big draw that Canelo is in Mexico and America as well. So think about it. And I'll tell you this. It's probably unlikely, and maybe I'm just wishing on a star, but I really believe, like, if this fight was to happen in Japan, it would be one of the biggest events of all time. I mean, I could just see it now, like Canelo Alvarez fighting Murata at 160 in a unification fight at the Tokyo Dome. I mean, I'm looking at like 100,000 tickets plus. We're talking about, 3 countries with television involved. I mean, it's big shit. I mean, I don't think there's a bigger fight globally. Not the best fight globally, but I don't think there's a bigger fight globally. What do y'all think? Canelo was looking for Murata. at 160 back when Canelo said he wanted to fight in Japan, Mexico, Europe, and Asia. Exactly. And Canelo said he wants to fight in Japan. So if Canelo is saying he wants to fight in Japan, this guy is fighting one of Canelo's biggest opponents and beats him to become unified champion. Why wouldn't Canelo Alvarez not want to go to Japan? They could sell 100,000 tickets. It would make him even more of a global star. It would put more money in his pocket, and it would elevate his status, not just in the boxing world as a superstar, but in the sports world as a superstar. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. And I'm going to say it like this, man. If Murata beat Golovkin, if Murata beats Golovkin, and I don't think Murata can beat Canelo, but if Murata beats if Murata beats Golovkin and Canelo don't fight him in Japan, I don't want to hear it. He ducking Murata because that fight makes so much sense. Japan is one of the most passionate boxing countries on the whole planet. All right? On the whole planet. On the whole planet. Canelo said he wants to fight in Japan. Murata's getting crazy numbers. I mean, that fight could do like, in Japan, that fight could do like 50 million, 70 million views. What you think? BT, that's on free TV. So Canelo Alvarez could fight on free TV. He wouldn't get 30 million views against anybody. There's nobody in boxing fight right now. Canelo could fight on free TV and get 30 million views. Not one. There isn't. Very truthfully, I don't think so. You might disagree, but I don't think so. And what if GGG steals those fans? Well, hey, if he could be big for it'd be bigger for the third Golovkin, the third Golovkin fight. But man, I'm just saying, man. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was researching things about Murata. I'm like, man, like I knew he did ratings, but 30 million? 30 million is 30 million. I don't care if it's free TV. Shit, man. I don't think Floyd could Floyd do 30 million fighting on free TV. I mean, Floyd fought on HBO early in his career. He didn't do no damn 30 million. So stop hating on Murata. You know, he's the A side. I don't want to hear it. He's probably the only fighter in boxing, if he fight Canelo, that has an argument to even be in the A side because of the viewership he gets in his country. There's no fighter in boxing that gets the viewership in this country. Not Canelo, not Joshua, not nobody. When it comes to who has the best viewership in their country, Murata is taking a big dump on everyone in boxing. I know he's not big here. I know he's not someone that we talk about a lot here in this channel because truthfully, like Murata's whatever to me as a fighter. He's cool. He's a solid fighter. He's happened to win a world title. He's had some tough losses. He's avenged them. But when we talk about Murata as a draw, come on, man. Let me see. 30 million is different. 30 million is 30 million. 30 million is 30 million. Get that money, champ. Anthony Haley says that's money in Japan. And by the way, shout out to you, Anthony. Welcome to the channel. I remember you from the comments. Yeah, it's a lot of money in Japan. And why would Canelo turn that down? That's a whole nother market. That's a whole nother world. Japan. You know, yesterday I went to I was at the Salas Boxing Academy here in Las Vegas. I was there making my rounds, doing interviews, shaking hands, kissing babies. And I actually interviewed a Japanese fighter, and like he gave me his iPhone, and I was looking at what a Japanese iPhone looks like, and even the Japanese iPhones look different. So like it's a whole different world, whole different market. And for Canelo Alvarez to fight a guy, with Canelo being who he is, to potentially fight a guy who on his own has proven he can get 20 million views, 30 million views. How could you pass that up? And then that's not even factoring in that they could fight like at the Tokyo Dome. And I don't know what's the capacity of the Tokyo Dome. Let's see. What's the Tokyo Dome capacity? Because I know the Tokyo Dome is like one of the most famous venues in Japanese sports. So what the hell is Tokyo Dome capacity? Tokyo Dome capacity is 55,000. I bet you they put 70,000 or 80,000 in the Tokyo Dome. They'll make extra room and put 75, 80,000 in the Tokyo Dome. He says, but that Japanese iPhone is a regular iPhone. Your phone still has a button. Now I got an iPhone too, champ. I got the iPhone too. LOL, what? Murata's the A side. Well, he's probably not the A side, but what I'm saying is he's the only fighter in boxing from a business standpoint that could actually can make a legitimate case that he has the ace. He gets 30 million views. Canelo don't even get 30 million views. When the hell did? Let me see. Let's see. Let's do some research. Maybe I'm tripping. Well, what the hell was Chavez versus Canelo's numbers in Mexico? Maybe that did 30 million views because I haven't checked that. I'll be honest. Canelo versus Chavez, Mexico TV ratings. Let's see what Canelo and Chavez did because everybody tell me this fight was so big in Mexico. I need to know what they did in Mexico. Let me see. What the hell was the ratings in Mexico? It's not popping up. Man, it probably was no damn 30 million. It probably was no 30 million views. I'll tell you that. We could fit 70,000 here. Yeah, you can. But could you fit 70,000 in a stadium in America while simultaneously having 30 million plus viewers on TV? I don't think so. I'm telling y'all, globally speaking, I don't think there's a bigger fight. If Murata can beat Golovkin, I don't think there's a bigger fight globally than Murata versus Canelo. I'm not saying it's a great fight. I'm not saying it's a fight that I necessarily want to see. I'm just saying that it's crazy. Canelo will take it. Canelo will take it to build his brand internationally. He will also fight in the UK like Ali. Floyd fought in Tokyo as well.
I gotta take something.
Right now? All right. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right, my bad, guys. Johnny had to drop some news on me. Anyway, yeah, all I'm saying is, look, there's big fights out there, there's mega fights out there, and then there's this fight with Murata and Canelo. To me, it's a global event. It truthfully is a global event because it's like you got American culture involved, you got Mexican culture involved, you got Japanese culture involved. It's gonna transcend boxing. That's all I'm saying, man. Yeah, everybody's celebrating because Canelo allegedly, there's no proof, but he allegedly did 800,000 buys against Canelo Plant, and people are saying this is great for boxing. Man, boxing gotta raise its standards. This guy's a face of boxing and can't even do fucking 1 million pay-per-view buys supposedly. You know, that's why I got Jake Paul's face of boxing. He's doing more pay-per-view than Canelo.
Jake Paul was top 10.
Jake Paul is top 10. Yeah. Well, look, I'm about to step out soon, guys. But look, I got one more thing I want to talk about, and then we'll end the live.
Before the whole Murata and all that stuff too. We're forgetting like yeah, it would be a big event, and obviously Canelo would probably watch Murata, but we're sleeping on the undercard, the potential that undercard could be. Like, you know, you can have Tanaka versus Julio Cesar Martinez.
Yeah, that is true because when we talk about the lower weight classes, like Mexico and Japan traditionally dominate. Like anything 122 and below is traditionally dominated by Mexican and Japanese fighters. So Johnny makes a great point. There's a lot of undercard potential on that card. So you could have like the Monster versus, I don't know, Navarrete or something like that. You could have, you know, a lot of fights, a lot of Mexico versus Japan fights. You know what I'm saying? Well, look, the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'll end the live, is this, man. There was another fight that was announced that I wanted to speak about, which is December the 11th in Cardiff. Save the date. Frank Warren, shout out to Frank Warren. He's coming out the box swinging, doing something really good for boxing in the UK. Chris Eubank Jr., right? Chris Eubank Jr. He's fighting Liam Williams December the 11th. And I love that fight. That's a great fight. Chris Eubank Jr. is a guy that, I don't really think he's as good as people make him out to be. And Liam Williams, I think he's a bit underrated. I know he hasn't gotten over the hump in his big fights, but, he fought the guy, in my opinion, that I think is the best middleweight in the world, in Bubu Andrade. And I thought he was giving him fits in parts of the fight. He lost like 9 or 10 rounds, but he had some competitive rounds even when he lost. And he showed that he showed in that fight that he's willing to do whatever it takes to win a fight. And I feel like a guy like him, as physical and as rigid as him, would have a good chance against a guy like Eubank. So it's a good fight. It's one that I'll talk about more in detail when I make my video. But on December the 11th, you got the UK is dominating the UK is gonna dominate that December 11th date, because you're gonna have Conor Benn versus Algieri on Matchroom, and you're gonna have Liam Williams versus Chris Eubank that same day. So decisions is gonna be a tough one, because both those fights will probably be around the same exact time. You know what I'm saying? So really good fight. I don't have a prediction yet, but I'm giving Liam Williams a good chance to win, because I think Eubank's gonna want to try to come and prove a point. And that might be to his ultimate detriment, because Liam Williams is a very rugged and physical guy, and he doesn't care. But I'll favor Eubank, but it's a good fight. What you think, Johnny?
I think I'm gonna take Eubank. I think Eubank will be too aggressive, and I think he'll be able to. I'm gonna say Eubank is gonna stop
Liam. Yeah, possibly. But it'll be a good fight.
Chris Eubank is gonna lose to Demetrius Andrade.
They're all gonna lose to Demetrius Andrade. 160 to 175. Line them up. They all lose to Demetrius Andrade. Valiant says, who wins? Chris Algieri or Conor Benn? Listen, I like Chris Algieri. He's a friend of the program. I think it'll be a tricky fight for Conor Benn, but Algieri just hasn't been active enough, and I don't think he can punch. I don't think he punched hard enough.
John Real Casemiro fights.
I think Ben will win, and Ben will win ugly. So I want Algieri to win, but I think Ben will win. But look, on that note, guys, look, I gotta go. But before I go, if y'all want to follow me on Instagram, this is me on Instagram. Just a kid from Dania. Yeah, that's me. If y'all want to get in contact with me, stay in touch with me, message me, talk boxing with me, give me ideas for videos, whatever, shoot the shit. That's the best place to find me, because I'm always on Instagram. I'm always talking to people on Instagram.
John Real Casemiro fights December 11th too.
Yes, he does. He does. But yeah, that's me on Instagram. I'm gonna get up on out of here, guys. But look, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Take care of yourselves. God bless. Continue to check out all the content on the channel. And yeah, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.